Welcome to episode 9 of Gaston Digital Great Ideas. I'm your host, Chris Goodson. Can you believe we're almost halfway through this crazy school year? Since August, we have all learned that creating an LMS that students can easily read and understand isn't as simple as it might seem. Today, we're going to talk to a second grade teacher, Allison Alexander, about designing and redesigning your LMS to include visual cues. If you're enjoying the show, be sure to like the episode and click on that subscribe button. Now let's get to the interview. Welcome to the show. Today we have Allison Alexander. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Allison Alexander. Funny story, I actually go by my middle name. So people here call me Lane, but formally I'm Allison.
Okay, great.
Countywide, I'm Allison. This is my 18th year teaching. It's actually my very first year in second grade. I taught kindergarten for 2 years, and then I was in the first grade world, for all those other years. And then I just moved here last summer from Florida. I am a Florida girl, born and bred, and we moved to North Carolina last summer. And we are so happy to be here. This is my first year at Robinson. And second grade has been amazing with all the craziness. It's been really fun, a really fun grade to get to know.
Great. So let's dig into that. I was a high school teacher and I've worked with elementary, but I'm more of a secondary guy. Talk to me about how this has been with second graders. You only have them 2 days a week. You're remote part of the time. How has that been different? What are some of the things you've done to kind of deal with that and make that work for them and for you?
So second grade is a big kind of like catch up review year. And it's a big, like learning how to be really independent year. So it's kind of like bridging that gap before they get into 3 through 5, where they are kind of independently teaching themselves things as far as, they're reading themselves and answering questions. Whereas K through 2, we're kind of helping them along. We're reading it to them.
Sure.
Can you answer back to me? So second grade is when we kind of catch up anything we've missed, and then we kind of push forward to that independent level. And so then you throw in that they're only here 2 days a week, and they're doing a lot of things online, which they've never had to do or be responsible for. It was kind of a big, like, oh my goodness, because yes, they are almost third graders, but in the beginning of the year, they're still first graders. I mean, they are still really babies in a very nice sense of that word is that, they're still little. They're still 6 and 7 when they come in, and then we're expecting them to be in charge of all of this on their own with a little bit of help from at home and manipulating all the different platforms. It was tough. I will say
that was the first thing that kind of came to my mind is that you mentioned they're reading, but these are still young readers. They're new readers, and so much of an LMS. I mean, learning management systems were designed for older students to begin with. I mean, they've advanced over the years, but because of that, it's a very reading based format. So how do you handle that with these new readers? I mean, how do you make sure that they're catching not just the content but the instructions?
Right. And that's a big piece of, okay, well, first of all, I'm a pretty organized person. So my brain thinks in folders and systems. They don't. Okay. You have to teach children how to really be organized and how to think that way and compartmentalize, information. And so as they're learning that, they're seeing it on the screen. And so the first thing we wanted to do when we started with Schoology and all the LMS talk was, okay, how do we incorporate buttons or pictures or icons that they can, in the beginning of the year especially, just know, okay, this color means reading, or this, symbol with the little dojo man means dojo. How can we do that to make it, not as scary and not just a bunch of words that looks like scribble scrabble on a page for them? So that was the first step, is figuring out what we wanted our homeroom page to look like. We color coded, all the subjects so that the headers match, the buttons match the folders in Schoology, so that red is reading, yellow is math always, and their journals in the classroom match that color. So if we're doing math and we're hitting the yellow button in Schoology, you've got your yellow math journal on your desk.
That's huge.
Yeah,
I really like that idea that you carried it forward. So one of the things that I'm running into is that a lot of kids feel like the online component or remote component feels kind of divorced from what they do in the classroom. It sounds like y'all recognize that to begin with, and you immediately try to make sure that the two are linked. That's really cool.
We did. I'm a big color coder. How can we make this, the puzzle pieces fit together? Because I think with kids especially, and adults, is if they know why we're doing this, then they kind of like, okay, I'm open to learning that. So why is my math journal yellow? Why can't it be the color that I want? Well, here's why, because it's going to match the yellow that you see every day in Schoology. So that was step one. We initially, when we started, we had our homeroom page, but we were told, and we still do this, we don't not, but all the content had to be in the content areas, which kind of freaked us out, because then we're going from reading, and we're done with reading. Now we're going to hit the math tab and go find that folder, and going back and forth. So we were having students having trouble even manipulating just that. And parents are emailing us. And so we actually threw out a Padlet the first month of school. And it was kind of hard because we had put a lot of work into this. So far, we thought it was great. We thought it was wonderful on our end. And I have a second grader. So I would say to my husband, okay, tell me what you think. Like, as a parent, because I know what's in there, you tell me how it is. So he would give me feedback. We threw a Padlet out there, and then one Wednesday we had 2 Google Meets for each one of our classes. There's 3 of us. And we knew ahead of time what the parents were struggling with because they filled out the Padlet, which was nice. So we did not get defensive. We were going in like, okay, how can we problem solve this? And their main problem was going to all of the different, reading, and then math, and then science. And so they said, can we have it all on homeroom? And initially our response was, no, we're not allowed to do that. And then we were like, wait. Okay, we can do both. We put everything in homeroom. Okay, we have a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Everything goes in there. And then we also copy it to the different subjects, because I said it's essentially a couple more clicks for us to put it in both places.
Sure.
So we're meeting the need of, it's in the content area, but for the kids, when they go to homeroom, it's like their landing page, everything is there.
And, it's funny, I'm seeing that, I guess now from second grade all the way up to high school, because, as teachers, we tend to think in terms of subject areas and units, especially, and the older kids think in terms of units, or the teachers do. But that's one of the things that a lot of my teachers have told me is that, the kids don't think of it that way. They need to know, what do I need to do this week? What's give me my schedule for this week, and what are my assignments, and what am I working on? And I've seen a lot of people pivot. Now that's I want to step back a second. That's pretty cool that, you put a lot of work into a system, and then you're open to saying, okay, is this actually working for the people it's targeted to? And that you took that feedback. That's not easy to do.
It was hard, especially because, stress levels in the beginning of this year were like through the roof. And this is year 18. And I tell people, I'm like, I've never worked this hard in my life. So it was, I think what helped was the Padlet beforehand, because we knew what was going to be thrown at us, not thrown at us, but we knew the gripes. And I think the other thing that's hard is that everybody has a different family situation right now. Some kids are in daycare the 3 days are not home. Some kids have a nanny that the family has hired. Some are just tagging along at somebody's office. And so there's not going to be a surefire way to meet every single need. And so ours was like, how can we meet the majority of your needs? And so that was hard. But I will tell you, going into it and saying, okay, here's what we're seeing. Your parents are saying to us, and here's what we think we can do. And having just an open discussion, it really was awesome. Because my thing was, I don't want to go along and think everything's great, and then in January, people are having meltdowns because it's not working. So I'm like, I'd rather fix it now, in September. And now, honestly, I think in the past 2 weeks, I've gotten one question about something on Schoology, or they couldn't find something, or we forgot to, link something that we said we would. And that still happens, because we've got slides that we're now making, which we've never had to do before. And I didn't know what the word embed meant. I mean, that wasn't what I had known. And so now, and they're very open to telling us too, this has been great, thank you, which kind of has been like, sweet, it worked, yay.
That's great.
So it really has kind of eased the IT part of it, because we're teaching second graders who are just still trying to learn second grade stuff. We're IT managers in our classroom. and we're creating digital content, which we've never had to do before. I've never created a thing on Seesaw where now you can move and slide and do all these. And I did that last week and I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like, I'm Bill Gates. So anyway, I think being open to feedback in the beginning and changing it right away really did help. And the parents were super responsive and really liked the change. So that has helped get them on board as well.
That's great. So let me ask you this. I mean, I know, COVID land, things are looking worse now in some ways, but at the same time, it's almost like we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, possibly. So assuming that next year we get back to more or less normal, what are some things that you've learned from this that you think are going to persist when we're back to 5 days a week, kiddos in school? What do you think we can keep from this that's good?
What's funny is that it is so much work, but I feel like next year, let's assume that I'm in the same grade. I have all of this content that I've developed that would be super easy to throw in Schoology. And then when a kid, I have a kid that won't be here until next week. Well, I'm not worried about gathering all her stuff because I just said, well, go on Schoology. If I get sick or my child is sick at home and I have a sub, okay, that's fine. Everything's on Schoology. So I think it's a lot of work this year. I think in the coming years, it would be nice just to say, oh, all the stuff is here. I'm not making a whole different sub plan or I'm gathering all this work for a kid that's going to Disney for a week. You can access it anywhere. So I think that piece is nice. And I also really like, because my husband, who's at home with my son 2 days a week, helping him with his work, he's actually understanding what they're learning. I mean, he's having to, because he's looking at the slides with him or he's answering questions. And so I really think the parents are seeing a lot more of what their kids are learning. Whereas before
it kind of demystifies it for them. Yeah.
Oh, cool, you're doing states of matter, but now they're really seeing like what's going into it. So I think the parents understanding the curriculum and seeing it this way is kind of cool.
I can vouch for that. I'm definitely getting a new understanding of 6th grade math.
Exactly. You're like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Well, so let me just add, we're almost out of time, believe it or not. Let me just ask one more question. What's the one piece of advice, the one bit of wisdom you've learned this year that you would think of, you would want other teachers to know?
I think just having an open mind and saying, how am I going to solve this problem? I am a huge planner. I've got to have it planned out or I go crazy. And so I use like a planner with 5 days. I have lists of because I'll forget all the things that the county offers, quizzes, ReadWorks, Discovery Ed, all of those things that we have access to. I'll forget to put it in there. And so I have a little list. I check it off if I've used it that week. Did they get their iReady? Every Friday morning I have a remind the parents, these kids haven't gotten their iReady yet. Just a lot of reminders and planning and notes. And then now I feel like I'm like, okay, I got this. It's taken it's taken 3.5 months, but now I'm like, okay, I've got the reins and I can do this now. So
I like that idea of having a list of the tools in front of you, so that it's like, check the box, I've done these tools, but so that as you're planning, you think, oh, okay, I'm doing this. What are the tools I have available to fit into that lesson? That's what it's supposed to be done.
Yeah, your options, so you don't forget about them, because there's some great stuff, but it can get overwhelming. So, kind of just paring it down and saying, okay, this week maybe I want to try these 3 things and going for it.
Excellent. Good advice. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I really enjoyed it, and good luck with the rest of the year.
Thank you. Almost halfway. Almost there.
I know, almost there.
Thanks for watching. If you want to find out more about the topics we discussed, check out the links at our website, bit.ly/great ideas. And don't forget to go to bit.ly/Gaston Digital for the latest resources and professional development opportunities from your tech facilitators. If you have an idea for the show, please message me on Twitter. I'm @Goodson. You can also fill out the form at the top of the webpage with ideas. Thanks, and have a great break.